Hey there, drone fans. Today is another incredibly exciting day because right here I have the brand new Vcopter Falcon Mini from our friends at 00 Robotics. Now, they just released the Hover Pro Max a couple of months back, and they're on a roll because they've got a brand new drone right here, which is really a mini version of the original Vcopter. Now, if you're a fan of the channel, you know that I reviewed the Vcopter a while back when it first came out, and we were waiting for that drone for a long time. It's a hard technology to develop. I still can't believe they built a drone with only 2 propellers, because most drones have 4 propellers, and that's pretty easy to do because you've got plenty of stability up in the air. But to develop a drone that has 2 propellers requires a whole lot more engineering, because you've not only got to spin the rotors different speeds to keep it stable horizontally, but to move the drone and to keep it stable vertically, you've got to tilt those propellers in different directions. And somehow the engineers at 00 Robotics have figured that out. Pretty incredible technology. Now, I haven't actually opened the box yet, but I did fly the Vcopter for quite a while, so I know what it looks like, but it was way bigger. This one, it almost looks like they took the Vcopter and put it in the dryer for a little too long and shrunk it down. So I'll get into the specs in a minute, but today's video is going to be an unboxing video just to show you what comes with the Fly More combination, so you have a rough idea what this looks like. Now, once I get through with that, I'll take it outside, I'll fly it an awful lot, I'll do a bunch of videos showing you how it flies, how much noise it makes up in the air, because I suspect it's going to be quieter than most of the quads in the same weight class, and I'll do a lot of other videos and review it a little bit more in detail. But today is just going to be the unboxing because I can't fly it until I do the unboxing, and I always like to do that in front of you. So enough talking for me, let's get into the box. All right, I am really excited here because I unbox a lot of videos for drones, and honestly, all the quads are starting to look pretty similar. This one's radically different. All right, so we'll pop open the box and let's see what we find inside. All right, a little bit of cardboard. I don't need that anymore. Oh, there's a nice case. So it comes with a really nice carrying case, which is always a great thing. And that's pretty much it in the box. So let me close this up. Now, the reason I like the carrying case so much is because, number one, it protects the drone. So everything inside here is protected. It's kind of a soft case, but it does a good job of keeping it from getting nicked and banged and everything else when you're carrying it around. The other reason I like a case, as I say every time, is that the case organizes everything. Because when you're flying the drone, you're going to need extra things like propellers and batteries and maybe a charging hub. And having a case like this puts everything in one place. So when I'm leaving for the day, I just put this over my shoulder, head out, and I know I've got everything with me to fly that drone. All right, let's open it up and see what's inside. All right, so we've got a zipper on the front. There doesn't look to be any outside pockets. Nope. Okay, so it's a completely sealed case. One zipper on the front, or on the side. Let me zip that open. All right, so there's a pouch up top, and there's some stuff in that pouch. So let me open that up, because I always miss one of these pockets. And in that top pouch, I've got a couple of cables. What else have I got? Looks like a little attachment. I'll have to figure out what that's all about. And that's pretty much it in the top. Now in the front, if I open it up here, I've got an extra set of propellers, I've got an extra battery, and I've got, I believe, another battery. And then in the bottom, I've got the charging hub, and I'll talk about that a little bit. On the front, I've got a grouping of manuals here. Very nice. We'll go through those as well. And then inside, the drone and the controller are in there. Now let me start with the controller first. All right, pretty standard controller, really nice. You can see that I haven't opened it. I wasn't kidding. Let me unwrap this and we'll get a closer look at it real quick. Boy, I'll tell you, anytime I get a new drone, I'm just so excited. I just can't wait to get it charged up and get it up in the air. And this is no exception. All right, I'm going to need my slicer here. I'm sure there's another trick, but I can't see it with my older eyes. But let me open this up. So I'll cut that. And there's the controller. All right, so pretty standard. And it looks like the phone holder folds down on the bottom and flips up like that, and then flips up again. So it'll hold the phone up here. It's not large enough for a tablet, so I'll have to figure something out there, but looks like it's going to handle pretty much any smartphone that's on the market today. And one little feature that I just saw is that I can spin this to a vertical position. Now this drone has the ability to shoot both horizontal and vertical video, so you can do landscape or you can do portrait, and I guess when you're shooting in that vertical video mode, you can flip this so your screen matches up with what you're actually seeing in the camera. That's pretty cool. Then there are 2 antennae on the back. Now the transmission distance for this is about 1.5 miles. And you might be thinking, well, how come it can't fly 25 miles out? Well, the honest truth is, in the United States, we have a visual line of sight requirement, which means you have to keep the drone in your line of sight. So if it can fly 20 miles, you really can't do that in the US. So 1.5 miles is well beyond visual line of sight for me. So knowing I can fly that far means I've got a strong signal in close. I'm not going to have to worry about the drone breaking connection with the controller. All right, enough about the technology. Now, where are the joysticks? Well, there they are at the bottom. There's a couple of joysticks right down there. and they just basically screw in like most controllers do. And it looks like a nice compact controller. I like the fact that I can fold up this part of it underneath to keep it out of the way. All right, so there's your controller. Now on the bottom, I saw a couple of connections. Let me get the second joystick in here. All right, on the bottom, I've got two USB-C connections. One is for charging, and the other one is actually for the cables that connect to your phone. So let's take a look at that next. Let me fold this out of the way and close that up. All right, good enough there. Cables, what do we got cable-wise? Well, there's one cable here that's a USB-C to USB-A, and this is for charging the unit. You can plug this into the bottom of the controller. The USB-A can plug into any standard wall charger. I'm assuming if you go with a 45-watt PD or higher, you can charge it a lot quicker. Don't worry about using a powerful charger. A lot of people ask that question. The honest truth is the appliance you're plugging into a charger will only draw as much power as it needs to charge the batteries. You can't force more power into it, so don't worry about using a big charger. And then there are two other cables that are USB-C to Lightning, which is the Apple connection, and USB-C to USB-C. So it'll cover the Android products and the Apple products. Actually, it'll cover the Apple products with the new USB-C as well. All right, so what else have we got in here? There's a strange contraption with a couple of screws. And I'll bet this has something to do with the inverted flying capabilities. That's another cool feature. As if it wasn't cool enough that you can fly this like a bird with two propellers, you can actually turn it upside down and fly it upside down. And I think this does something to lock the arms in place. But again, I haven't read through the manual or anything. I'm just doing the unboxing. Give me a couple of minutes. All right, so let's take a look at batteries. What do we got here? We got two batteries, which is great. So you've got double the battery capacity. And again, I should talk about this is the Fly More combination, which includes an extra battery, the charging hub, the case, and a couple of other things, I think. But again, I'll have to go through it. But the basic unit comes with the drone, a single battery, and the controller. This one has a couple of extra things, like I said, the extra battery. And I promise you, once you start flying this drone, the first thing you're going to do is realize how much fun you're having with it, and you're going to want to fly it longer. And to fly it longer, you need a second battery and maybe even a third battery. Now this unit will provide up to 34 minutes of flight on a single battery, so that's plenty of time up in the air. And honestly, that's longer than a lot of other drones in the weight class. And I probably should have mentioned that too. This fits in under that 249 grams weight limit. So if you're flying anywhere outside of the United States, that's a really big deal for you because it means you don't have to go through testing and registration, insurance, all the other things that some of the countries require. In the US, what that means for you is you don't have to register it with the FAA. Technically, it's not even considered a drone. So under 249 grams is a really good weight. So these batteries are pretty straightforward. Again, here's the charging hub. There seems to be a little bit of paperwork in there, so let me pull that out. Probably warranty, or I've got to read that later. It's probably a safety diagram, but pretty straightforward for the charging hub. Looks like the batteries fit in like this. There you go. And then there's a power button on the front that'll give you the relative power of the battery currently. And then there's a charging port someplace, I'm assuming. It has to be a charging port, Rick. Oh, there it is. USB-C on that side. So plug it into the USB-C cable, plug it into your charger. You can charge two batteries at the same time. Pretty cool. Also, there's some extra propellers in there. Make sure you hang on to those because this drone does not have any kind of crash detection or avoidance. So you have to be really careful when you're flying it. So if you happen to clip a branch or something when you're out flying, knowing you have a set of extra propellers would be a really good thing. All right, enough talking. Let me get into the drone because that's kind of why we're here, right? And again, I haven't seen this, but I've seen the Vcopter as a big Vcopter drone, like the two propeller drone. This is going to be a smaller version of that, and I can't wait to get my hands on this. I heard about this a couple of months back. I got this secret email saying, hey, we got a new drone coming out. Do you want to test it? And I said, sure. What kind of drone is it? And they said, it's a mini Vcopter. I'm like, get me that drone as soon as you can. All right, here we go. Oh, man. I can't tell you how cool this thing looks. This is just awesome. Boy, if you're a fan of flying anything, this has got to be interesting to you. It really has to be. This is like space-age technology. Nobody else out there has figured out how to put two propellers on a drone and keep it stable up in the air. Leave it to the guys over at 00 Robotics. All right, so there's the drone. Oh, man, it's small. It's got a really nice lightweight body, really durable, a couple of feet in the front for landing, for stability, and a couple of small feet in the back. And then I guess we're going to lift these up like we did in the original Vcopter. You got to be gentle. Lift them up and out like that. And as I mentioned before, what makes this so interesting is this pivoting movement of the motors. Because other drones have the motors attached to the top of the arms when they extend from the drone, and they're locked into that position. So the only way the drone can adjust horizontal or vertical or move forward is by varying the speed of the motors on those original quads. And what'll happen is they'll spin the motors in the front faster and the ones in the back a little bit slower, and that'll drag the drone forward. This one, I don't even know where to begin, but you've got two motors on here that have to not only vary the speed, but they have to tilt to make the drone move forward and backwards and keep it balanced in the air. So there's a lot of complex electronics going on inside of here, and those sensors inside have to be incredibly accurate. Man, is this beautiful. It's a great looking drone. I cannot wait to get this up in the air and start flying it. Okay, so there's the battery. So actually the Fly More combination, you get the battery with the drone and 2 more batteries. So I've got a total of 3 batteries, which allows me to fly 34 minutes times 3. That's going to be a long time up in the air. It's got a gimbal protector on the front. Let me pop that off and take a look. Actually, I won't. I want to read the manual first so I don't damage it. But boy, does that look unique. It almost looks like they designed it and forgot to put the rear propellers on it. I mean, it's a very cool looking product. And again, I've flown the V-copter, and I can tell you from flying that drone, it's like you're watching a bird up there in the air. It's not like a standard quad where it's kind of stable up in the air. I mean, it's stable, but when it flies, it's much more graceful in the air. It's a lot quieter in the air. It's just smoother overall. And you're going to fly it just like you fly a regular drone. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, so specification-wise, the unit will record 4K footage at up to 30 frames a second, which is perfectly fine for all of your social media posts out there. I do mostly 1080p at 60 frames a second, so for me that's great. It'll do both horizontal, which is landscape, or vertical, which is portrait shooting. So you can take shots for Instagram or TikTok, whatever you're doing out there. In addition to that, it'll fly 34 minutes on a full charge with a total distance of about 1.5 miles. And that certainly depends on the environment you're in. If you're in an area with a lot of trees and you come down behind the trees, maybe you'll get a little less distance, but knowing I can fly that far again means I've got a rock solid signal between the two. In addition to that, there is no crash detection on it, but for me that's not that big a deal, because if you become a decent pilot, you're going to avoid all those obstacles out in the field. I'm not saying I don't clip a branch every now and then, but to me that obstacle avoidance on most of the drones is such a restrictive thing. If you're a very crowded environment, it's like you've got a co-pilot that's constantly grabbing the control yoke and flying that drone so you don't run into something. I guess it's a benefit, but for me, just be a good pilot and stay away from the stuff that you might hit in the air. It's got bottom sensors on it right there. I'm assuming those are time of flight sensors, and it's got a visual sensor on the bottom as well. And that's important when it gets down lower to the ground, because GPS works really well when it's up in the sky, but the closer you get to the ground, those bottom sensors kick in, and it knows exactly where it is relative to the ground. So when it's down under, say, 20 feet, it's going to definitely keep it nice and stable on the horizon. So there you go. Again, I know I sound really excited. This is probably the 100th drone that I've unboxed, but there's something special about a bicopter like this. Now, I don't know if anybody else has the technology to mimic this type of design. Maybe we'll see some more, maybe we won't, but I have to hand it to 00 Robotics for, number one, being bold enough to say, 7 years ago, when I went to CES, we were talking to them in the booth, and they were bold enough to say at that point, we're building a bicopter. And I said, you're never going to get that up in the air. It's never going to fly. Man, was I wrong, because they came out with the Vcopter. Okay, took them a little longer than we expected, but that Vcopter was amazing. This is now a mini version of that Vcopter. And again, if you're flying a small drone and you're looking for something that's compact and incredibly cool up in the sky, this looks like it could be a winner. Now, if you stay tuned to the channel, we're going to do a bunch more videos where I'm going to take this out, do a first flight with it. I can't wait to try that. And then I'm going to fly it a whole lot and give you some footage from it, show you what it looks like up in the air. And I'll do a lot of other comparisons with this and other quads that are really popular in that sub 249 category. But for today, there's your unboxing. You're looking at the Fly More combination, which gives you everything you need and then some to enjoy this quad. Now, one of the special things that this company has done for us is there's a discount code, and it's down there in the comments. So if you're thinking about investing in one of these, or you think this is a cool drone you'd like to fly, make sure you go down there and use that code, because that'll save you a little coin when you make your purchase. But I just wanted to mention that. I thought it was really nice that 00 Robotics offered that to us. They're a fan of the channel. They're a fan of our viewers. So take advantage of that discount code. And that's all I had for today. So hopefully you found this review helpful. I love talking about technology like this, and drones in particular. And this one has got me really excited because spring has just come. We're just leaning into summer. It's the best time to be out there and fly. And I can't wait to get this up in the air and just have a lot of fun with it. So anyway, that's it for today. Thanks an awful lot for watching. And until next time, as always, happy flying.